And here I am, standing on the deck of a billionaire's yacht, the Pacific breeze tangling my hair, a flute of chilled champagne in my hand, while my phone buzzes again with a message from another billionaire asking when I'm free for dinner. Want to know how an ordinary photographer from West Hollywood ended up caught between two of the most powerful men in Los Angeles? Let me start from the beginning. What if the only way to finally have the life I dreamed of was to stop waiting for love to find me and start hunting it like the high-stakes prize it really is? What if I turned my sharp eye for detail, the same one I use in my photography, into a quiet, calculated mission to find, attract, and eventually marry a billionaire? And the scariest question of all, was I brave enough to become the detective of my own future, gathering clues, making strategic moves, and risking everything for a man who could change my world forever? Grab your favorite drink, get comfy on the couch, hit subscribe, and settle in, because this real-life billionaire mystery is full of twists, luxury, and drama that won't let you look away or get bored for a single second. It all started on a warm January evening in my West Hollywood apartment. I was 32, sitting on my balcony with a glass of Sauvignon Blanc, scrolling through photos from my latest brand shoot. As a freelance luxury brand photographer and content strategist, I spent my days capturing beautiful homes, fashion campaigns, and high-end events for clients who paid me well, but never worry about money again well. I had a decent salary, a cute one-bedroom, a growing portfolio, and a circle of creative friends. On paper, my life looked good. But at night, when the city lights glowed and the silence settled in, the truth hit differently. I was tired of dating men who were almost there, the startup guys with big dreams and small bank accounts, the creative directors who loved deep talks but split the bill down to the cent. I wanted more. I wanted security. I wanted passion that came with private jets and oceanfront homes. I wanted to be the wife of a billionaire. So I made a decision that changed everything. I was going to hunt one, not in a desperate way. In a smart, strategic, detective-like way. I would research, observe, position myself in the right rooms, gather information, and create opportunities. I would study the men, learn what they liked, what they feared, what made them fall. And when I found the right one, attractive, single, truly wealthy, I would make him fall for me. The mission began the next morning. First step, research. I spent the weekend building my target list. I joined the most exclusive dating apps, Luxy and Raya, and carefully curated my profile. Professional photos from my own shoots, captions that showed intelligence and taste, nothing thirsty. I also mapped out the upcoming high society events in Los Angeles. The LACMA Art Plus Film Gala, the One Drop Gala, the St. Jude Evening of Hope, several private charity dinners, and a few invite-only art auctions where billionaires showed up to write big checks and be seen. I bought a few new dresses that looked expensive but were not. Classic black, elegant cuts that showed confidence without trying too hard. I practiced my smile in the mirror. I reminded myself, this is a strategy, not a fantasy. Billionaires are not like regular men. They have seen everything. They are surrounded by beautiful women every day. To stand out, I had to be different. Intelligent, self-assured, slightly mysterious, never chasing. Always intriguing. My first event was the LACMA Art Plus Film Gala after-party. It was crowded, glamorous, and intimidating. I walked in with my camera bag as a content creator guest, which got me past the velvet rope. I took a few photos from my own socials, but my real job was observation. I noticed 3 men who fit the profile. Tall, well-dressed, surrounded by small groups but not loud. I approached none of them directly. Instead, I positioned myself near the bar, ordered a sparkling water with lime, and let conversations come to me. A tech founder in his late 30s started talking first. Nice guy, funny but married. I smiled, kept it light, and moved on. The second was a real estate developer, early 40s, single. We talked for 10 minutes about modern architecture. He was charming, but his eyes wandered to every woman who walked by. Not serious, not focused. I excused myself politely. The third was a hedge fund manager. We chatted about photography. He asked for my card. I gave it, but something felt off. Too eager, too quick to mention his jet. I smiled, thanked him, and left the conversation open-ended. No follow-up needed. 3 events later, the pattern was clear. Billionaires did not chase the obvious. They noticed the woman who did not chase them. The one who had her own life, her own opinions, her own quiet confidence. So I adjusted. I stopped trying to meet them. I started being seen. I attended more events as a photographer or content creator. I posted subtle stories from the nights, a detail of a painting, a city view, a thoughtful caption about beauty and depth. Nothing flashy, just intriguing. At the One Drop Gala, I photographed for a client again. This time I let my camera lead. I captured candid moments, stayed in the background, but always in view. That was when I saw him. Julian Hart, 38, founder and CEO of Hart Ventures, sustainable luxury developments and green tech. Net worth in the billions. Tall, dark, wavy hair. Sharp jawline. Piercing blue eyes. He stood near the auction table, laughing with a small group. But he carried himself like someone who did not need to try. I had done my homework. Single, no messy public divorces. Recently ended a 2-year relationship. Philanthropic but private. Exactly the type. I did not approach him. I took a photo of the auction piece near him, adjusted my lens, smiled when our eyes met, then went back to work. He watched me for a moment. I felt it. Later, near the bar, he walked over. "You have a good eye," he said. "Not just for the camera. For the room." "Ava Sinclair," I replied, extending my hand. "And thank you. You are not bad at reading people yourself." He smiled. "Julian Hart. I have seen your work online. The Malibu shoot for that wellness brand. Clean. Thoughtful." He had looked me up. That was the first win. We talked for 15 minutes. I kept it light, asked about his latest project, and listened more than I spoke. When he asked for my number, I gave it without hesitation. But I did not linger. "I have to get a few more shots," I said. But this was nice. I left him wanting more. He texted 2 days later. "Enjoyed our conversation. Coffee this week?" I waited 8 hours. Then, "I would love to. Thursday after 4? There is a small exhibit in downtown I have been meaning to see." I chose the location. Neutral ground. My territory. Our first real date was perfect. The exhibit, then dinner at a quiet Italian place. He asked real questions. I shared stories from shoots without bragging. I laughed at his dry humor. When he leaned in and kissed me goodnight, slow and confident, my knees weakened. But my mind stayed sharp. He mentioned his ex once, very briefly. Something about her not understanding his schedule. I filed it away. Over the next 2 weeks, we saw each other 4 times. Each date felt more intense. Deep conversations. Long kisses in his car. The kind of chemistry that made me forget for hours that this had started as a mission. Then came the first twist. One night, after dinner at his beach house in Malibu, he stepped away to take a call. His phone buzzed on the table. The screen lit up with a text preview. "Julian, we need to talk about the agreement. You cannot keep avoiding this." C? C? His ex was Sophia. Who was C? Before I could think, he returned, saw me near the phone, and his expression flickered. Guarded. Then he smiled. Work never sleeps. But the question burned. Who was texting him at midnight? What agreement? And why did he look uneasy? That night, as I drove home, the open questions flooded me. Was I falling too fast? Was he hiding something bigger than a complicated ex? And most importantly, if I kept digging, would I still want the life I was chasing, or would the truth make me run? Because the more time I spent with Julian Hart, the more I realized something dangerous. I was not just hunting a billionaire anymore. I was starting to fall for the man, and that changed everything. How long can a woman play the perfect game of chess with a billionaire before the board starts to tilt, and she realizes she might be the one getting played? And the most dangerous question of all. When a second, even more tempting opportunity walks into the room, do I stick to my original plan, or do I quietly shift my target? The text from C stayed with me for days. I did not mention it to Julian. Instead, I stayed calm, warm, and slightly elusive. That was my new strategy. I had learned quickly that men like him were used to women who gave everything fast. To keep him interested, I would give just enough, then pull back. Never fully available. Always a little mysterious. Always leaving him wanting more. When he invited me to his Malibu house again that weekend, I said yes, but only for dinner. When he suggested staying the night, I smiled, kissed him softly, and told him I had an early shoot the next morning. Another time, I whispered. His eyes darkened with frustration and desire. Good. That was exactly what I wanted. I could feel him becoming more invested. He started texting more often. He asked about my schedule. He even sent a book of photography by one of my favorite artists with a note, "For the woman who sees things others miss." I was still gathering information. I spent quiet evenings doing detective work. I searched public records for any mention of C connected to Julian. Nothing obvious. I checked old charity guest lists and found a woman named Claire Voss who had attended several events with him 2 years ago. Claire. C. Could it be her? She was listed as a board member of one of his foundations. I saved her photo. Elegant. Sharp features. The kind of woman who looked like she belonged in his. The more I dug, the more questions appeared. Why was he avoiding her? What agreement were they talking about? And why did the thought of it make me feel both protective of him and protective of my own plan? Then came the night that changed the game. Julian invited me to a small, private dinner at his penthouse in Beverly Hills. Just a few close friends, he said. I want them to meet you. I arrived in a sleek emerald green dress that made my eyes pop. I kept my makeup natural and my energy confident but relaxed. When I walked in, Julian's face lit up. He kissed my cheek and introduced me to the small group. That was when I met him. Marcus Vail, 45, founder of Vail Capital, one of the biggest private equity firms in entertainment and media. Tall, salt and pepper hair, strong jaw, deep brown eyes that seemed to see straight through people. He was single, recently divorced after a quiet settlement, and known for being extremely private. Net worth is estimated to be well over $3 billion. He was, in many ways, an even better match than Julian. The moment our eyes met, something electric passed between us. He smiled slowly. Ava Sinclair, I have seen your work. The campaign for the new Amen Resort was exceptional. He had looked me up. Interesting. Throughout dinner, Marcus sat across from me. We talked about art, travel, and the future of luxury experiences. He was intelligent, witty, and calm in a way that felt powerful. Julian noticed. I could feel his hand tighten slightly on my knee under the table. He was marking his territory. But my mind was racing with new calculations. Marcus was single, wealthier, more established. And the chemistry was undeniable. Later, when Julian stepped away to take a quick call, Marcus leaned in. You seem like a woman who knows exactly what she wants. That is rare in this city. I smiled. I am learning to be very clear about it. He held my gaze a second longer than necessary. I would love to continue this conversation sometime. Just the two of us. My heart skipped. This was a second opportunity. A potentially better one. But I kept my face calm. Perhaps. When Julian returned, the energy at the table had shifted. He sensed it. The rest of the evening he stayed close to me, more affectionate than usual. He kissed me in front of everyone when I left, a clear message. On the drive home, my thoughts were spinning. Julian was falling for me. That was clear. But Marcus had sparked something stronger. He felt like a bigger prize. More secure. More established. My original plan had been Julian, but now a better option had appeared. Was it disloyal to even consider switching targets? Or was it smart? The next few days I played it perfectly. I saw Julian twice. I was warm, passionate, and present, but I always left early. I never stayed over. I kept the mystery alive. He started calling more. He started asking when he could see me again. Exactly what I wanted. But the mystery around C grew darker. One afternoon, while editing photos, I received an anonymous message on Instagram from a blank profile. Ask Julian about the agreement with Claire. Before you get in too deep. Claire, so it was her? That evening, I decided to test the waters. Over drinks at a quiet bar in Santa Monica, I asked casually, "Have you stayed close with any of your exes?" Julian's expression changed. "Why do you ask?" "Just curious." "You mentioned someone not understanding your schedule once." He looked away for a moment. "There is one person from my past who is having trouble letting go. It is complicated. Legal stuff. Nothing you need to worry about." Legal stuff, the agreement. My detective instinct screamed louder. I did not push. Instead, I changed the subject and leaned in to kiss him. I gave him just enough passion to keep him hooked, then pulled back with a soft smile. "I should get home. Early shoot tomorrow." He looked frustrated. "You are killing me, Ava." I smiled. "Good things take time." Inside, my mind was working overtime. I had two billionaires interested. One I was already dating. One who had made it clear he wanted time alone with me. My plan was working better than expected. But now I had doubts. Was I falling for Julian, or was I just enjoying the chase? Did Marcus represent a smarter, safer choice? What exactly was the agreement with Claire, and how bad was it? And the biggest open question of all, if I kept playing this game, would I end up with the life I wanted, or would I lose myself in the process? Then came the next twist. 3 days later, Julian invited me to a private yacht party off the coast of Malibu. "Marcus will be there," he said, "along with a few others." My pulse quickened. 2 targets in one place. Perfect opportunity to observe and compare. The night of the party, the yacht was breathtaking. Lights twinkled, champagne flowed, and the ocean stretched endlessly. I wore a simple white dress that moved beautifully in the sea breeze. I arrived with Julian, but I made sure to mingle. Marcus found me near the railing, the wind in his hair. "You look like you belong on the water," he said. We talked for almost 30 minutes. He was even more impressive up close. Calm. Intelligent. He asked about my dreams, my career, and what kind of future I saw for myself. When he touched my arm lightly while laughing at one of my stories, electricity shot through me. Julian watched from across the deck. His jaw was tight. Later that night, as the party wound down, Marcus pulled me aside for a moment. "I would like to take you to dinner. Just us. No pressure, think about it." Before I could answer, Julian appeared beside me, sliding an arm around my waist. "Everything okay here?" The tension was thick. I smiled at both of them. Everything is perfect. But inside, the questions were louder than ever. Which man was the better choice for my future? Could I really manage feelings for one while keeping options open with the other? What was Julian hiding about Claire and the agreement? And if Marcus was truly interested, was I willing to risk losing Julian to chase an even bigger prize? The game had just become much more dangerous. Because now I had 2 billionaires watching me, and my heart was no longer sure which one it wanted. When you set out to hunt a billionaire with a clear plan, what happens when you suddenly have 2 of them in your life, both offering luxury and passion, yet both hiding secrets that could destroy everything? And the hardest question of all, after investigating them like a private detective, comparing their hidden truths and feeling real emotions I never planned for, which man do I choose for a future of wealth, security, and love, or am I still fooling myself? The weeks after the yacht party became a delicate balancing act. I continued seeing both Julian and Marcus, but now with a clear detective mission. I needed to know their real secrets before I made any final decision. My original plan was to find one billionaire and build a secure future. Now I had 2 options, and I refused to choose blindly. I scheduled dates carefully. Tuesday and Thursday with Julian, Wednesday and Saturday with Marcus. I kept things warm and romantic with both, but never gave too much. With Julian, I stayed over once, letting the passion feel real while I observed. With Marcus, I allowed deep kisses and long conversations, but always left before things went further. Both men grew more attached. Both started asking for more time. And both believed they were the only ones. Meanwhile, my investigation intensified. For Julian, I focused on Claire Voss. I used my photography contacts to reach a former assistant who once worked with him. Over coffee, she quietly told me the truth. The agreement was not just business. Julian and Claire had a secret child together, a 5-year-old boy, whom he had been supporting privately to protect his image and the boy's privacy. The payments were large. Claire wanted more involvement and more money. That was why the late-night calls and tension. I sat with that information for days. A secret child. It was shocking, but also human. He had chosen to protect the boy instead of using him for publicity. That showed responsibility. But it also meant his past would always be part of our future. For Marcus, the digging was harder. He was extremely private. I finally got a breakthrough when I attended a charity event and spoke with a woman who had dated him briefly years ago. She told me after a few glasses of wine that Marcus had a pattern. He would pursue independent women, spoil them with gifts and trips, then slowly try to control their careers and finances. He liked being the provider, the one in charge. His ex-wife had left because she felt trapped. The large settlement was to keep her silent about his controlling behavior. Two very different secrets. Julian's secret was about protecting a child. Marcus's secret was about needing control. I spent long nights comparing them in my mind. Julian offered passion, intensity, and a willingness to be vulnerable. He made me feel alive. But his life already had a built-in family I knew nothing about. Marcus offered stability, maturity, and an even larger fortune. He felt safer financially, but the control issue worried me deeply. Would I lose my independence with him? My original plan had been simple: find a billionaire, become his wife, and live a secure, comfortable life. Now the plan felt messy. Feelings had entered the equation. I was no longer sure if I was still the detective or if I had become the one being studied. The final twist came on a quiet Sunday afternoon. I was at Julian's beach house when his phone rang. He stepped outside to answer. I saw the name on the screen. Claire. This time I did not hesitate. While he was on the terrace, I quickly looked through his open laptop. I found the folder. Emails, payment records, and photos of a little boy who had Julian's eyes. The messages showed Claire pushing for more time and money. Julian was resisting, but he was also sending her large transfers every month without question. When he came back inside, I was waiting. I know about your son, I said calmly. He froze. For the first time, he looked truly exposed. He sat down and told me everything. The short relationship with Claire, the unexpected pregnancy, and his decision to keep it private to protect the child from the spotlight. He said he had been afraid to tell me because he did not want to scare me away. I listened. Then I asked the hard question. Is there anything else you are hiding? He shook his head. That is the only big secret. I want to be honest with you now. Later that same week, I met Marcus for dinner. I tested him gently. I mentioned wanting to keep my career fully independent. His response was smooth but revealing. Of course, he said. But once we are serious, I would love to help you build something bigger. You would not have to work so hard. The control was already showing. That night, after Marcus dropped me off, I sat alone on my balcony with a glass of wine, the city lights blurring through the glass. I tried to make the choice. I really did. Julian's secret was heavy. A hidden son, quiet payments. A life he had kept locked away to protect a child who never asked for the spotlight. It came from responsibility, from love in its most complicated form. When I pictured a future with him, I saw passion, late-night talks on the terrace, and the way his arms felt like home even when his world was chaotic. But I also saw Claire's calls, the boy's face in those photos. The constant question of whether his past would ever stop pulling him backward. Marcus offered something different. Stability. A life without surprises, without legal shadows or divided loyalties. He was calm, measured, the kind of man who could make tomorrow feel certain. Yet every time he spoke about helping me build something bigger, I heard the quiet edge of control. I imagined years of being gently steered, my career quietly reshaped to fit his vision, my independence traded for safety. Was that security or a gilded cage? I stared at the skyline until the wine was gone, turning the same questions over and over. Julian made my heart race. Marcus made my future feel safe. Julian's love felt raw and real. Marcus's love felt polished and predictable. Julian carried secrets that could explode. Marcus carried secrets that could slowly suffocate. I wanted both the fire and the foundation. I wanted the man who saw me, and the man who could protect me. I wanted the passion without the chaos, the calm without the cage. But life does not let you have both. The next day, I met Marcus for coffee. He looked at me with those steady brown eyes and said, "I'm not asking you to choose yet. Just know I'm here when you're ready." I smiled, said I needed time, and left without promising anything. Julian texted that evening, "Miss you? Dinner tomorrow?" I stared at the message for 10 minutes before replying, "Soon." I did not sleep that night. What I never told anyone until now is that Marcus was the one sending those anonymous messages all along. The late-night DMs from blank profiles, the single-line warnings like, "Ask Julian about the agreement before you get in too deep," the subtle nudges to dig into Claire Voss, they were never random. He never admitted it, never dropped a hint during our dinners or lunches, but every message arrived at the perfect moment, right after Julian and I had grown closer, or just before an event where Julian would be photographed with me. Marcus knew exactly when my curiosity would peak, when doubt would start creeping in. He wanted me to see Julian's hidden life, the secret son, the monthly payments, the woman who still called at midnight, without ever having to point it out himself. He stayed the calm, steady presence while the truth did the work, quietly positioning himself as the better choice, the one without shadows, without complications. He played the long game with chilling patience, and the most unsettling part? It almost worked. Even now, as I sit here replaying every anonymous ping on my phone, I realize the most unsettling twist of all. The person who wanted me most may have been the one who quietly made sure I saw the truth about the other. I still do not know whom I will choose. Maybe I never will. Maybe I will spend the rest of my life caught between two futures, two men, two versions of what forever could mean. And maybe that is the real ending.